Welcome back, everyone, to Lore of the Shadow, where last time we started investigating an attempted murder, and instead we found a full murder. So let's see what we can do about this. We got problems.
Our mission is dire.
You were sent to seek answers, and you returned with a dagger? This must be the result of murder! Oh, what made you guess that? It means that we were on the correct trail, but losing Malbrook does not bode well for us. He could have been the key to understanding this poison, and now he lies dead. Thank you for your help thus far, Pinelore. I must ponder other avenues for us to consider. Ooh, like what? Ooh, looks like he's thought of something. Question the cook, question the guard captain, and question the neighbor.
Our success depends upon our strength. Will you
I,
aid us?
I would like you to acquire more information about the cook who found the file. The kitchen pantries should have been restricted from the townsfolk, and anyone suspicious entering would have been noticed. Ask if anyone who has been within the kitchen of late should be investigated any further. Alright, I guess we could do that. I guess that's some logic to that. How about the guard captain?
The Rohirrim have need of your services.
I'm familiar with this type of dagger that you discovered at Malbort's home. It's a common tool amongst the Elred of riders here in Cliving. I suggest that you head to the training area near the meat hall and question Captain TitanBar about which of his men might be without their daggers. Okay.
The Rohirrim have need of your services.
And Mabir's neighbor on the Saul spends a great deal of time watching people come and go along the roads. Perhaps she may have seen the people who have entered into Malbrot's home before he was attacked. Visit her outside her home and inquire as to whom or what she may have seen. Alright, so let's talk to Ondesdal. I guess that's sort of the most likely avenue, I presume. I mean, who entered and exited the house? I would think that whoever did the killing would have done so, though of course there's no guarantee that who she saw enter and exit the house was necessarily the killer. But let's see, this is the apothecary. Yeah. All right. So if this is the apothecary, you would think there'd be a sign or something like that on here, but oh well. Whatever.
What business have you with the Rohirrim?
You must be new in town. Oh, welcome. You want to know who's been seeing, Malbjort? Well, he offers treatment and advice to so many, from small children and pets to the Reeve himself. I myself have not seen him since early afternoon yesterday. Prior to that, a few people visited him, a young girl who works in the kitchens, one of Fedmar's writers, and that old fool Weekfugo in particular has seemed very troubled and has been visiting almost daily. That seems to be all that I can recall. I hope that it was some help to you. Alright, so those are the three that stick out in her mind. So the killer is either one of those three or someone who doesn't stick out in her mind. Ah, yeah, we eliminated nobody really. I mean, you would think that she would notice if a halfling dressed in purple with a bog lurker pet went to a house, that she would notice if she were all that attentive.
What business have you with the Rohirrim?
The kitchen is restricted from most commoners. On occasion, Athor's advisors or the writers are invited in to have a meal prepared or to borrow some ingredients. No enter that would arouse suspicion, but then again, I can't imagine anyone who would want to harm the Reeve. Ooh, how interesting. The only people normally in the kitchens are Eldora and myself. Eldora is a young girl who helps with the cleaning in the kitchen, yet she's been acting strangely of late, sometimes leaving the kitchen without notice. I'm not quite sure what to make of that behavior. Ooh, interesting. Uh, hello there. I was wondering if you know whose dagger this might be.
What business have you with the Rohirrim?
Well, one of the men under my command, Swiftthorn, reported that his dagger had gone missing not but a few hours ago. I have been rather lenient with Swiftthorn on this matter, for his mind has been clouded with grief. His elder brother was slain by orcs just outside of Elthengels when Athelwald gave orders that we abandon the defenses there in order to protect Cliving. Swiftthorn's a good man. I hope he doesn't harbor any ill feelings towards the Reeve or his fellow riders. Uh-huh. Interesting. Well, I suppose we should return to Walnoth on this. I have returned with my reports. I questioned the cook.
Our mission is dire.
As I thought, most citizens of Cliveling would have a difficult time in sneaking into the kitchens unnoticed. Now that kitchen servant, Eldora, seems rather suspicious. I will keep her in mind as a potential suspect, or at the very least, she may have witnessed something that could be helpful to us. Good work. Oh well. And I spoke with the guard captain.
Will you aid the horse lords?
Evidence indicates that the dagger belonged to Swiftthorn. I'm not well acquainted with the man, but I don't like that we have learned so far. Do you suspect that he harbors a grudge against the Reeve for the fate of his brother? Perhaps we need to learn more before rushing into a judgment. Right? And
What
finally,
brings you to these lands?
we have the neighbor. Ondesdahl discussed several people who saw Malbert before it passed, but this Weekfugol in particular has struck me most unusual. Why, that he's been going there every day? I wonder what old Wiggleful discussed with Malbert before he met his end. Well, I suppose we could find out. So, what do you need to do then?
Will you aid the Rohirrim?
I believe that we're getting ever closer to solving this mystery. I don't know, it looks cloudier to me. There are three primary suspects that we must consider. The soldier Swiftthorn, the cook's assistant Eldora, and the old man Weekfugol. If he's an old man, no wonder he's seeing an apothecary every day. Each who has been seen visiting Malbert and may have killed him to cover their attempted poisoning against the Reeve Athelward. Okay. It's not like we have positive IDs against them, but all right, okay. One's a writer, one's a young woman, and the other's an older man. Okay, so let's continue. You have been paramount in the process in this investigation so far. Interrogating these individuals will prove to be crucial to discovering the truth. So I must leave this task to you because the game nails me to this spot and doesn't allow me to go around. Swiftthorn should be amongst the Rohirrim near the meat hall. Winkfugol resides at an estate to the northwest, and Eldora's home can be found near the west entrance to Cliving. Question each of them carefully and return to me with their responses. Alright. Eeny, meeny, miny, but we actually no, let's not worry about that first. Let's worry about this first. Here we have Weekfugol.
I do not believe you will find welcome here.
You suspect me of these rumored crimes? How shameful! Know that I am a respected elder in this community. I was visiting Malbert for treatment of the terrible nightmares I began having shortly after my son and his family lost their lives. His craft was raided and burned in the first orc assaults, and still Athelwald has refused to defend those helpless families outside of the city walls. It's true I harbor no love for the Reeve after such a heartless decision, yet I would not resort to poisoning him. Consider for a moment how a citizen such as myself would have had access to the Reeve's kitchen. Surely someone would have noticed my unexpected presence there. You know, alright, I suppose there is some truth to that. Well, now let's head on this way, and I believe that Eldora lives somewhere in this direction. Let's try this house. Ah, here's Eldora right here.
Our mission is dire.
I know that you are investigating the poison found within the kitchen and the murder of Malbert. Yes, I have heard the rumors. I must explain my actions so that you can understand why I am innocent in these matters. I have been taking care of this injured man that you see before us, Freyston. He was wounded in battle and is greatly impaired. I care greatly for Freyston, though he knows it not, and I have been overseeing his aid through medicinal herbs that Malbert has provided for us. I have been here frequently tending to him, thus my absence from the kitchen. It is true that no one can account for my whereabouts when the crimes were committed, but know that I have no more reason to harm Althor than anyone else in town. Furthermore, Malbert was helping me to treat Freyston, and I would never have wished harm to come upon him. Well, yeah, there is this distinct lack of motive here. Personally, I think I was quite remiss by not checking that soldier to see if he had his dagger. Because, look, he's been lying in bed. How easy would it have been for her to borrow his dagger and do something with it? Not saying that she did or anything like that, because personally I think she didn't have much reason for doing it, but we should have checked to see whether or not there was a possibility that he had a missing dagger. Oh well. What about Smiththorne here, speaking of missing daggers?
Our mission is dire.
Captain TitanBar told me of the circumstances involving Malbert and my dagger. I understand your reason to suspect me, but I can assure you that I had nothing to do with this murder. My weapon was likely taken from me in order to draw suspicion towards me and away from the real killer. On the night that Malbert's life was taken, I was patrolling the city perimeter with other guards. Had I left to visit his home, my absence would have been very strongly noticed. Alright, so you got one who lacks motive, one who lacks opportunity, and well, actually, they all lack opportunity, but that's an entirely different matter. I have been grieving the loss of my brother, yet, as you have explained to TitanBar, I do not blame the Reeve for his death. I respect Althor greatly, and I understand his decision must have been a difficult one. I am an honorable man, and these despicable crimes are below me. Well, who knows? But he does say that other guards were with him at the time of the death. Now, of course, I have not done a proper forensic analysis in order to determine when, and I don't think that's a lore master skill. Determined time of death. Determine the exact time of death. Don't tell me how you determine the exact time of death. And I was about to say in a clock before clocks, but then I forgot that this is Lotro, and in Tolkien's world, clocks already do exist. Whether they exist in Rohan or not is, of course, is an entirely different matter. But I know that they exist in the Shire because Bilbo has one. Always a little bit of a mishmash on the technologies in this game. There you go. Now, where were we?
Our mission is dire.
So, each suspect gives a different reason why they should be absolved. Swiftthorn claims to have witnesses for when Malbjort was slain. Eldora seems to be lacking a motive to harm either victim, and Refugel would like us to consider his lack of access to the restricted kitchen. The time draws near. I know, it's a conspiracy between all three of them. I know that sounds even weirder than a single one of them doing it. The time draws near. Consider each testimony and all the evidence discovered. Action must be taken before we have any evidence in which to accuse anyone properly. Yes. Before others will come to harm, we must apprehend a guilty party, even though most likely we'll be apprehending an innocent one if we do it now. This is probably the most preposterous quest line ever. And every time I do this, it even seems more preposterous. Which is tough to do with some quests. Alright, so what do we have here? So, apprehending Eldora. Yeah, right. Apprehending Swiftthorn. Yeah, so we're... And apprehending Refugel. You know, Refugel tends to be my fallback on this one, simply because I just so can't imagine it could be either of the first two, that the last one's all I'm left with, even though it's not a great choice. There is not a none of the above choice in this one. Oh well.
The Rohirrim have need of your services.
So, you believe that Refugel to be the culprit? No, I think that we're going down the wrong trail, but I've done this so many times that I've seen the future. Yes, it cannot be understated that the grudge against Athwald gives him the strongest motive. Living alone at his estate, he has no witnesses for the whereabouts during the crimes. It takes little imagination to see how Wiggleful was the one responsible for this atrocity. Yes, but it takes at least some imagination. I trust that your decision on this matter. What do you mean to? I feel like this is when we eliminated the impossible. Whatever's left, no matter how improbable, must be the answer. Well, I suspect that Sherlock Holmes would have considered other possibilities on top of it. Yes, I trust your decision in this matter. I shall go and apprehend Wigfugle and take him to the cell in the dungeon. Meet me inside the dungeon under the mead hall. Okay. Well, he goes and apprehends someone who's probably completely innocent of this crime. I mean, you know, when he's probably supposed like, I will go and talk to this Cuthred here, who I've been asked to speak with, and I've been ignoring him all this time due to this little investigation.
The Reeve sent you to me to help with our problems? Good.
Oh, we can refuse no offers of help. Cliving has been less affected than some other towns in this writing, but still, there are orcs about, and we need to deal with them if we are to keep our people safe. Alright, and enhanced runes? Runes?
An important part of guard duty involves riding the bounds.
We ride the bounds looking for threats lurking too near the city. If you have a war steed and the skill to ride it, well, I did win a race with it. Now, maybe I'll leave out the bit about the opponent having been thrown by his horse when some orcs spooked him. That's a minor little detail. I would encourage you to help us with this duty. Right east of Cliving until you see the marker that delineates the bounds, and then turn to the south. Continue this process, turning to your right at each marker until you have described a great loop around the city. Defeat any mounted enemies that you encounter in this circuit. You will be doing the people of Cliving a great service. So, right to the first marker. And I guess I could go around and do that while we apprehend someone who probably didn't commit a crime. He was kind enough to give me one of the war dogs in order to help me with it. That dog's almost as big as my pony. Oh well, let's head on out and try to ride the bounds and deal with anything that we can find. Though the odds of me being able to actually do anything. Now, this is. Hold on. Oh. There's a mounted enemy right over there. And I think I really should be setting the focus properly here. Well, let us get some practice with mounted combat. There we go. Oops. Yeah, this is not my favorite way of doing combat. There we go. Ooh. Oh. New deed. Slayer of mounted enemies in the Eastmid. I gotta kill more of these! Here we are at the first flag. New deed. Farms and crops of the Eastmid. Now to head south. I suppose we could deal with this guy. And well, that wasn't very effective. Ha! Good dog. Now, let us head on south and see if we can find this second marker. Is that it right over there? Oh, we have also got one of these guys to worry about. Why am I not doing anything to him? There we go. Whoa, whoa, oh, 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 let's not bring in others. The joys of mounted combat. You can't hit what you're trying to get to. You have trouble going all over the place. And then you run into other enemies as you're trying to kill whatever you're doing. Such a joy. There you go. And whack! Oh, he's trying to trick me. No! Ah. Have I ever mentioned before that I detest mounted combat? Just saying. Just saying. But I'm getting off this stupid thing. Right. You know, this is one of those weird cases where I sometimes think that it highlights that be careful what you wish for, you may get it. And that's what mounted combat turned out to be. We always think, oh, yeah, mounted combat would be cool and all that stuff. And not think about the consequences. Because, you know, if you just had yourself on top of a horse just doing your skills normally, then okay, what's the entire purpose of doing the whole thing? So they had this intricate system with momentum and all that stuff, and yeah, you'd have to make it the focus of your game so that you could get it be perfect, or don't do it at all. In between seems to not work very well. Oh well. Let's go up here. So this is what, number 3? Of course, it's very easy to complain about something after the fact. Is knowing something's going in the wrong direction before you spend all that time and effort doing it. That's the tricky bit. Oh well. Oops, a daisy. Oops, a daisy. You know, it doesn't help that when you have an MMO type scenario where you've got mobs all over the place, landscape mobs and all that stuff, being able to do a style of combat that requires people to be moving all over the place can be counterproductive. I know they tried to make up for that by making Rohan a bit sparser, but as we can see here, that doesn't necessarily help. Okay, you have ridden the bounds. Good. Okay, good. I can stop my rant, please? Okay, there you go. Alright, well now, where were we? Oh yes, return to climbing. One of the things I have on this series is that I'm going to try to avoid completely skipping anything that pertains to the class that I am playing, which is the reason why I have to do some mounted combat, even though I'm a little bit on the reluctant side on the matter. Well, Cuthred, I've ridden the bounds for you.
You have ridden the bounds? What did you encounter?
Oh, I encountered a few riding orcs. Well, my men ride the circuit many times a day, ensuring the safety of the city. Usually it is quiet, but occasionally orcs and other foes stray within the line and must be fought or driven away. Yeah, I've driven a few away, all right.
For Rohan to be safe and well guarded, the Norcrofts must be as well.
I was told that Reeve Bothward wanted to speak with you before you depart climbing. Thank you again for your help, and I hope that the Reeve rewards you in suitable fashion for the aid that you have graciously given. For Rohan to be safe and well guarded, the Norcrofts must be as well. I appreciate your help in that regard, and I know that the Reeve will agree. So I need to speak to Othwald there, but I also... Let's see. So you got an off the wall there. Defeat mounted or I don't care about that. I need to talk to Walnut in the dungeon. Okay, let's go into the dungeon first. Now, There's one other matter that I do like to do, but should I? Well, I think I've seen worse dungeons.
What business have you with the Rohirrim?
Winkleto protested when I came to him, but eventually he relented and came along willingly. We will hold him here as we gather more evidence to prevent him from causing further harm. And that way, when the killer strikes again, we will be able to know where he was at the time. Thinking on now, I believe that this was the best decision, Pinelore. Winklegold's disdain for the Reeve led him to the scheme of deception and murder. Athwell's life will be safer with Winklegold locked away. That's because the real murderer is less likely to act now.
Rohirrim have need of your services.
You have been a tremendous help, both to me and to the people of Cliving. We all owe you a debt of gratitude for your fine service. Reeve Athwald has sent word that he would personally like to thank you for your assistance in these matters. Go with haste. The Reeve's time is precious, and it is rare for him to pay heed to visitors of your stature. What? That's because he overlooks me? Ah, here is the Reeve, along with a couple of his children and Corrigan. Well, then, first of all, let's talk about the little investigation.
You have done well.
You must be the wise hobbit I have heard so much about. I simply must thank you. I could not be more pleased at the results of this investigation. Oh? You really do think he did it then? To think that a coward will threaten my life with poisons rather than face me with their grievances in person. Well, based on his reputation, who would want to face him face to face? I mean, the last... It sickens me. We must put these matters behind us, for further turmoil yet lies ahead for me and my people. Receive this reward, and please consider helping us further. Alright, and we have the failed assassin's ring, and we have the investigator's shoes. Ooh, so they're gumshoes then? Never mind. I guess they're not gumshoes because it's not raining. Okay, well, it's an upgrade.
I need you to do this.
You need me to do something. Oh my goodness gracious. What, get more inventory space? That sounds like what I need to do. Yes, you have already proven yourself capable of managing important and challenging tasks, so it is with confidence that I entrust you with an errand of utmost significance. Oh? My primary thought is always to keep safe the people in Norcross, yet I simply have not the writers at their disposal to scour each corner and crevice of my land for the threat of these invading armies. I have given orders for my people to retreat in to Cliving or to flee south to Adoras. Those within the city walls will be protected. Many of the crofters have either not received a call of evacuation or failed to realize the seriousness of this matter. Please write to them now and make certain that they understand the dangers of remaining at their crofts. Well, considering what I saw out there, we have crofters who are still out. Okay. I was thinking of departing immediately, but I mean, really, we can't but go and try to convince them to move off. We'll have to find out if they do in the next episode of Lore of the Shadow.